Hi, welcome to Switching Mindsets. This is Anuradha, and today I'm speaking to Meghna Khanna, a women's motorcycle coach. She's also a Limca Book of Records holder for being the first Indian woman motorcyclist to reach Khardung, the highest motorable pass in the world. Hi, Meghna. Wonderful to have you here.
Thank you, Anuradha. Hi there, and thank you for having me here.
Yeah, so now we're done with that that
Yeah,
bit. Yeah.
no, that's sweet.
So it's fantastic that you're teaching women how to ride motorcycles. And you know that I found you through Seema Sinha, who's basically teaching women how to drive cars. So this is like a huge jump straight to motorcycles. So tell me, I was watching all the reels and stuff and your Instagram handles. You started biking when you were still a teenager, and now you're teaching others. So tell me about your own love for motorbikes and how that happened.
So I think I was about 12 years old and I saw Top Gun. And instead of like, of course, Tom Cruise was all of Tom Cruise, a Maverick. But instead of like falling in love with him as such, I was just enamored with the idea of I was Tom Cruise. I was Maverick. And my father was a fighter pilot in the Indian Air Force too. So I think that it was such a cool thing to, see him riding that motorcycle on the runway and all was full style. So I really visualized myself doing that. Of course, my father at the time did not have an Enfield. He had a scooter, a Bajaj scooter. But I bullied him actually as a 12-year-old into teaching me how to ride his scooter. Because I was like, if you don't teach me how to ride, I'm gonna get some of your scorned bachelors to teach me. So I think he just kind of gave in. And of course it was like today I have a 12-year-old, I have a 13-year-old. And if I think of the days and the things that I would do when I was 13, I think I'm just, oh my God. It's a bit scary. So, yeah, that's how I bullied him into teaching me how to ride when I was 12. And then from there on, it was just friends of my brother and older friends who just have different motorcycles. And I would really pester them to let me ride their bikes and to teach me and everything. And I was 15 when I learned how to ride the Enfield. And at that time it was the biggest motorcycle on the Indian scene, and it was really like that dugga, 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 you'd hear it you'd feel it in your chest when a motorcycle would go past, in your house. So I was really very, 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 very driven, very rebellious, very much just wanting a motorcycle all the time. I do anything. I do anything to just get that bike. And I remember, I was in the car with my parents, and I was telling my parents that when I grow up, when I'm independent, I'm going to have myself a motorcycle. And I remember my mother saying that, there's no way that you're going to have a bike. You're going to have a four-wheeler. If not a four-wheeler, you can drive a three-wheeler, but there's not going to be any two-wheeler, So they were scared, as usual parents would be. I have lost family, like I've lost my uncle, I've lost my own cousin to, road accidents. And that time back in the day, there was helmets were not compulsory. And so it has affected, the people that I've seen grow up around me and my family. So I can understand their fear, but and their worry, of course, but it just didn't stop me. So I carried on. I would borrow friends' motorcycles in college. We'd be like that typical, going triples on a motorcycle, three girls riding around Pune is where I studied. I did my graduation there. So yeah, it just carried on like that. It was, I had the most fun. It just really explains to you why a dog sticks his head out of the car. When you ride a motorcycle, you feel that joy that that dog feels when he sticks his head out of the car.
That's a beautiful
So,
analogy,
yeah,
really.
yeah, it is. I don't think I can compare it to any other feeling. That sense of freedom, that wind in your hair, that feeling that you get is, you can be richest and you can have the biggest car, but I've seen that on the highway when you're riding as a motorcyclist, right? If you overtake a car, sooner rather than later, that car is going to overtake you and be like, and it's almost like he's trying to save his masculinity, that I am also cool. So what? I could be driving a Pajero or a Mercedes or whatever Land Cruiser, but when a motorcyclist, that it makes you feel like left out if you're not part of that.
Yeah, it's interesting
In
what
a
you
way.
also said, that you have a 13-year-old. And often, I also look back to when I was younger, you just can't imagine the things you did,
Seriously,
really.
I would still. My father would be taking an afternoon nap because he was, like I said, he was a fighter pilot. So he'd go for work like 5 a.m. and then come back, and then after lunch he'd have a nap, and I would sneak out his scooter like a neutral, and I would just sneak it out of the parking lot, go for a full round of the airport station because there was no traffic. There was like maybe one person walking home at that time, or a cyclist, or one other scooter, or there was just no traffic. So it was so much safer today. I mean, even today to step out on the street, it's like it's
Yeah,
scary,
yeah, that's
like
true.
yeah,
Even as a
yeah.
pedestrian. Yeah.
So that those days, of course, were different. So today, if I tell somebody that, listen, I was 12 years old, they were like, I'm like, don't judge my parents for it, because I was one of those very headstrong, painful kids, like who just had to get her way. It was, I feel bad for my parents, that way.
So tell me, when did you buy your first motorbike?
So that's a good story too. That the motorcycle that I ride today, I saw it getting done. My friend had bought a secondhand Enfield, and while I was in college, I used to visit my parents in Secunderabad because they were posted there at the time. And I would go hang out with this friend of mine because everybody used to hang out at his place. And in his garage, he was doing up this bike. And I was in love with that Enfield. And he had done it up. It was like that, I don't know if you've seen Grease 2, the movie
Yes, yes,
again.
of course.
It's yeah. So the boy doing up his motorcycle and all of that. And I would ride like, and it was a single seater, but on that there would be three, like there would be like that. They put cushions, pillows, everything. People used to be sitting on that to ride around the city. And so it was in my heart, that motorcycle. I totally knew the bike. And I'd, of course, moved on from there. I went to Bombay. I was working corporate. I'd done my master's. I'd taken up my job in Bombay. And I met my present husband at the time. And he told me, he says, and I'd met many people who were saying that, your next move should be to Bangalore city, which is where I live now. And, I was just like, you can't just, quit your job and move to Bangalore city like that. Aise kuch bhi, Bombay is right now, I'm working here. And I met this guy, and he's just like, if you come to Bangalore, I'll give you my motorcycle. Okay.
Ah.
I'll give you my motorcycle. And
He
I'm
knew
just
what
like,
to
you
say.
don't know what you're saying. Yeah. He knew what to say. Like, how they say, a way to a man's heart is through his stomach. He knew that the way to this woman's heart is through that motorcycle. Okay. And the funniest part is, Anuradha, I have to tell you, is that without me knowing this man, that friend of mine who had done that motorcycle when I was in college, he had decided to go back to his RD 350, which is another brand of bikes. And he sold his motorcycle to Mayur, my present husband, when I'd
Wow.
not even met him. I'd not even met Mayur when this had happened. I'd not even known that this was happening, because you know how you move on, and this friend of mine moved on, whatever. It's bike sold, he went back to his old bike. This is remains a romantic story in your
Yeah, yeah, that
in
was
your
coming to
mind
you.
from your, yeah.
Yeah.
And can you imagine, I come back here and I am riding that single seat motorcycle. And that is the bike I
Fantastic.
ride today. It is a 1994 Bullet, standard 350. And I'll tell you that for many years, there were no other bikes. But these days, there are so many variations, from Harley Davidson to the Honda to this, that, to that, to some. There's so many to choose from. But I am emotionally connected to this motorcycle. I find it difficult to move on in that sense. I will never be able to sell this one. It's just too close to me. So that I never bought a motorcycle. We actually exchanged. I'd given him my kinetic Honda, like back in the day, for like an Activa. And he says, obviously, Mayur says today that, if I tell anybody that story, it's like, they'll know you cheated. My 10-year-old daughter, when she sees him on the bike, sometimes I'm just like, just can you park the bike? Can you just move it or something like that? And he gets on the bike. And my daughter, my almost 10-year-old, she's like, Dara, I didn't know you know how to ride the bike. And he's just like, oh my God, like,
She tells him.
she tells him, she's like, I didn't know you could ride that. I didn't know you knew how to ride the bike. She's like, I know Mama rides the bike, because I had my kids. And interestingly enough, there's fear, right? I mean, I never felt any fear I've been up to the highest motorable pass in the world. You're riding on ice. You're like flipping and sliding, and anything can happen. You can ride off the mountain, you can die. It's like, but I had no fear at the time. I said I think the fear that came to me was with my kids, having my kids, my first son. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm like going to lock you up in the room and open it when you're 21 years old, just to keep you safe. And that was my initial reaction. And then I remember, I think he was just all of 3 or 4 months old. And I was like, I'm going for a ride. I live at a lake in Bangalore. And I said, I'm going for a ride around the lake. And everybody, from my husband to my nanny to my mother who was visiting, everybody was like, and you're taking that child with you. You can go for a ride. You can go for a ride. No worries. You go wherever the hell you want to go, Meghna. But are you taking that child with you? And I'm like, yes, I'm taking that child with me. So it was a bit like, that people make you doubt your, your self-confidence in a way. And suddenly I'm like, oh my God, I've been riding for so many years. You're not worried about me. Now you have an interest to this principle. And you're saying that now suddenly I can't ride, or, having like a bag in front of me will not allow me to be careful or endanger my own child. So you start questioning yourself. You're like, shit, am I doing the right thing? Am I being silly? Am I being my headstrong self? Just what is there to prove? Why do you have to take the child on the bike? And I'm just like, no, I have to move beyond this fear, because more than anybody else's fear was my own fear. So I just put my child in the bag. There's a baby carrier, and I went for a ride. And now my kids have their own helmets. They come with me on bikes. They're on the bike. They're like, it's a fun thing for them.
Yeah, and it's amazing what your daughter said, because she thinks it's
Yeah.
normal for women to ride bikes.
Yeah. She's seen, and the apartment that we live in, it's also interesting that I'm so blessed in this sense that we live in a standalone building, but we have 3 sets of friends who have 3 floors, each floor in this building. So we have our terrace garden, and we have our bikes in the basement. And another friend of mine in the building also rides a motorcycle. So we have 2 Enfields in the building, which the 2 women ride. These 2 women ride. So I think that the kids have also grown up seeing their mothers ride bikes, and I teach like I teach women, so they see those women coming in to this compound where I'm teaching them. So they're like, oh, you also, how old are you? Since when did you want to ride? So all these questions that they ask these women, and sometimes they are 30, sometimes 40, sometimes 50 years old, and they've been wanting to do this since they were teenagers, and finally getting to like fulfill their dreams.
Yeah,
So I think, yeah.
Yeah, before we talk about your becoming a coach, tell me about Khardungla. How did that happen?
Yeah, so
That's an interesting story too. I read a bit about it.
Yeah, and I think that how that happened was that I I was running a store in Bangalore called Levitate, and I used to sell motorcycle saddlebags, leather saddlebags for the bikes, and I had somebody come in to like check it out. And he became a friend of mine, and he was from Royal Enfield, and he said that, listen, this is our first ever. We are planning a motorcycle ride to Khardungla to Ladakh from Delhi, and it's the first one ever. And we'd love women riders. And this was back in 2005, so there weren't very many women riding at that time. And this friend of mine was like, why don't you come? And I said, listen, I'd love to come, because Khardungla is on every motorcyclist's bucket list, his wish list. But I said, if I wait for my friends, I might never make it, because I'm not a part of any bikers club or any of that. But if I have to wait for my friends, I might not make it, because everybody's logistics of time, travel, this thing, there's so many things to think about. So I said, but the thing is that I can't be the only woman riding. I can't be the only woman on this expedition. However open-minded I am, I need one more woman. Just get me one more woman, and I am on. Okay. And surely in a week's time, this friend of mine, Sachin, called me back, and he said, listen, we have an Australian girl who's joining this trip. And so figure out your scene and come. I was like, great. And that is all it took. Like I was just, and this happened in July. I was getting married in December. So I had a lot of, pushback from my folks. And of course, my husband was just like, just go do it. Like, just go and live it up. If this is what you want to do, just go and enjoy. And that was it was a 2 week ride from Delhi. We went past Chandigarh and Manali and all of that. And it was sometimes you forget to breathe. You just, when you're riding on a road that doesn't exist, there was no road sometimes. There were such big, big stones, like about a half a foot, sometimes a foot wide. And there were no roads. Today, I don't know, like I'm sure Ladakh and that area has like butter roads, because it's so popular. But back in the day, there were hardly any roads, and there were rivers. There were like the water from the mountain would just be flowing across the road, which we would call it a river crossing. Like you had to cross this road river crossing, and if you did it at a certain point of the day, it was maybe up to your ankles. But if you had to do it at 4 or 5 when the sun had been out for the day, the water levels were much higher because the snow had melted off the. So then you could get your knees wet, or you could like, and it was scary. Sometimes you just forgot to breathe. You were just like, I just have to get it, and then you were just like, oh my god, exhale, exhale. Just remember to breathe, because you're focused so much on the road. It's kind of meditative. It was quite something. I think it's a once in a lifetime experience. There were 42 riders, out of which 2 were women, Rose and I. And there were some people who were doing this in their 40s, in their 50s, for the first time in their life. There was a gentleman, and at some point he was just, it got scary. And at one point he was just like, I can't do this. I'm going to go back. Like, it was almost like pick me up on the way back. And there a lot of people then supported them. And of course, you have acclimatization. So there were people who had to be rushed down to like lower altitudes because they were out of breath. They had like altitude sickness. And luckily for me, I kind of sailed through all of that. My motorcycling really evolved. I met a few people who became really good friends of mine. Sort of 40 people, I was riding with 4 people. And that was just, I learned how to ride off the road. There was no road. So how do you ride? How do you get this old machine to listen to what you want and go where you want it to go? And it was interesting because the higher we went, at the petrol pumps and everything, we'd just be filling up fuel or something, and the guys would get talking, and then they would be like, but why this motorcycle? This has so much trouble. It has so much trouble, right? It is like a bike that can break down. We had to have a mechanic on board with us. They would be traveling in the truck. So there was a backup vehicle. There was a lot of support like that, and I had hired a motorcycle. So, 12 days of the ride, everything was great. On the 12th day, we were stuck at a pass. Sarchu was the place that we had stopped at, which is More Plains. And then you come to Sarchu, and there was basically the road ahead had been blocked by the border roads because one tanker had fallen into the valley, and the weather was bad up ahead and all of that. And so we were there for one night. We were there for 2 nights, actually, because the roads were blocked up ahead. And then when we left, we usually would cross a mountain pass. Is the highest point of the pass, of the mountain. So that's where the pass is, and that's where you cross over the mountain. So that's why it's the Khardung Pass. It's the highest part of the mountain. And so when we did that, we were leaving the camp at 4 a.m. So the sun had not risen. Okay, it was still dark. And we were trying to beat the empty oil tankers coming down the hill. So you can imagine that there were like hundreds of empty oil tankers just coming down the hill at that day. Until the 12th day, like I had no fall, I had nothing. But the morning just before that, my bike was making some sounds, and I'd asked the mechanic to look at it. And he had just revved the bike so hard that the piston blew. So it was a motorcycle that I could not ride. So this was all the drama that happened. And a friend of mine who was with me, from the magazine, and he was just like, listen, I don't even want to ride this bike anymore. He was riding a new motorcycle. I just want to sit in the car because I've ridden the bike, I've got a feel of it, but I need to get my, he was a journalist. So he said, I need to get my photos, I need to get all my stuff. So I
The
gave him my
story,
camera
basically.
and
Yeah.
get my story. So I gave him my camera and I took his bike because it was, and that old machine that I had hired for the ride was put in the truck and would be taken back to Delhi. So what happened, the interesting part was that I was riding a brand new motorcycle, which had, everything was tight. It was from the Enfield stable. So everything was really tight. And I was riding on road which had black ice, which is like a thin layer of ice on the road because the sun hasn't come out, the snow hasn't melted, and you're trying to cross a pass with these, you're trying to beat these guys. Basically, you want these 40 bikes to go ahead of these empty oil tankers, right? And I was slipping and sliding, and it was really scary. It was really scary. I mean, that was the culmination of fear in that sense. And I've come down one hill, and these are like what are called hairpin bends. You know how a hairpin, like something that you
Yeah,
stick
yeah.
in your hair, right? So the hairpin bends are like really, quite like a hairpin. And it's like a U shape, that you have to take. And I have taken that, and the bike has fallen, that silencer has come off. I am on the, literally, Anuradha, on the edge of that turn. I'm on the edge. I'm like a foot away from from the valley. I'm just going to fall thousands of feet into that. And I remember standing there and I've said, I am not moving from this spot till the sun comes out, till this snow melts, till this ice melts. I am not leaving this place. This bike also has broken down. It's a great excuse for me. I'm not going anywhere because it's damn crazy to be, I'm not able to do this. And there I look up and I see this oil tanker, this driver, and he is driving on black ice. And our eyes met. And I was just like, oh my God, he's coming down an incline of 45 degrees, sliding, like he's skidding down that. And he's like, he's about 8 inches away from me as he goes past me. His face was like, oh my God, woman, what the hell are you doing here? And I'm just like, oh my God, don't kill me. Like, just don't bump me off this hill. And that was scary. That was scary. And then, of course, we had the backup, and the guys came and fixed the silencer, and the bike was okay. And I was given a little bit of a pep talk, and I was just like, I just saw my life flash in front of me with that guy, the oil tanker, just
Yeah, that's
sliding
really.
past me. Yeah,
Yeah, but
that was
it's been
scary.
what, 20 years almost, and you remember
Yeah,
every little detail.
yeah. It was such an experience, and I would say that to everybody to put it on their bucket list. Any traveler, any motorcyclist. I mean, that is truly. I hope it's still as beautiful as I experienced it. It was
How many
quite
days was the entire trip?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
tell me, what
yeah,
keeps you going? In the face of fear. Okay, I don't know if you felt fear, but at that moment, I'm sure you did.
yeah,
So what keeps you
yeah.
going? Is it just that,
It's
there are so many people with you, or what is it? One can
no,
say
actually,
adrenaline, but that it
yeah,
can't be just that, right?
yeah. I actually used to say this. I mean, motorcycling is a very lonely, or not lonely. It's a lonesome. It's a single person. You can be riding with like 40 people, but you're riding alone. It's a very solo journey. It's not like a car full of friends or family.
But that's like
You can
life itself,
banter.
no? It's
Yeah,
like
it is.
life.
It is very much like that. So you can ride parallel to your partner, but you can't ride the same journey. You can't, it's not the same. Um, so that's what I feel. And before I go for a ride, I'm so nervous in that sense. Like, I'm just like, what if I forget how to ride a motorcycle? No, it's like you go for a swimming competition, and you're like, what if I forget how to swim? What if I forget how the arms go? How do I how do I forget? I mean, what if I forget how to ride a motorcycle? It is that stupid fear. Like, it's a very strange and silly thing, notion, right? But once you get on the bike, I mean, you see that smile through my helmet. It's really, really something else.
Yeah. And what I liked when I was reading that this is your mode of transport. This has been your mode of transport.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not like you just take it out for a spin, just, if you're in the mood or something.
yeah. I mean, I'm really blessed because Bangalore as such has great weather mostly through the year. And right now we are of course struggling with, it's a really hot spell and lack of water and all of that. But mostly in my 20 plus years of being in the city, it's been really kind to us. And the weather has been so beautiful to be able to, ride around. I live in the heart of the city. And so it's really, every now and then, the idea is that every now and then I get a chance, I'd like to leave the city. So, and leave it on my bike. So again, I have been able to do what I do because I also feel that it's the stubborn get their way. Would you, in a way that that's how I felt like being stubborn gets you your way. And I have kind of been also think about like how inconvenient it is for people around you to be a motorcyclist because like sometimes it'll be a family trip and I'll be like, I'll tell my husband, I said, you take the kids and, take the car and I'll come on the bike and I'll see you there kind of thing. And then it's like, why can't you just ride with us like a normal person? But then I won't get to ride my bike for 5 hours going to school or whatever. So, I mean, I'm just like, yeah, but get some other people to sit with you and drive with you and I'll come on the bike because it's what I want to do. So it is inconvenient also to other people, this kind of passion and how you enjoy something. I have to come to terms with that as well.
Yeah, that's interesting because I mean, even I would imagine why not just go in a car
Yeah.
that one time or something, right? But you have to ride every day. It's like that.
No, no.
Mm.
And especially not in the city so much because it's no fun. But I am also driven by and passionate about like places where there are no roads as such. So
So you don't want to miss out on that
yeah, if there is
landscape,
like,
basically.
if we have a chance to go off the highway and off the
Yeah,
national highway, it's like, okay, I'm not going to take the bike out on a flat, 500 kilometers flat, in the like national highway of 6 lane straight road.
right,
It's no
right.
fun.
Makes
It's no
sense.
fun. No, no, I'm not interested. And I'm not even interested in driving. I love the Ghat section, the place where there is a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of like bad roads. There's a lot of, you're going through forest trails. That kind of stuff really, really excites me, and I love it. So I want to experience that every chance that I get. And I realize for that you have to be selfish or married to a person or with a partner who enjoys it as much as you do.
Yeah, that's nice. Is there like a kinship between, bikers? Like you said this, I'm sure other bikers feel the same way.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And in fact, it's so strange that I mean, I have had some friends who were in Rajasthan and who were riding through Rajasthan from Bangalore. And this is also back in the day, maybe 2008 or something. And they were riding, and their bike had broken down. That one of the bikes had broken down between Jaisalmer and Jodhpur. And I remember them sitting there telling me the story because he called me from there. And he's like, I'm sitting on the side of the road, and there was a convoy of army convoy goes by, and there was one gypsy in that, and then that gypsy takes a U-turn and comes back to them, crosses them, and then comes back to them. And he's like, oh, you guys need some help, whatever, like, गाड़ी लेकर आओ, whatever bike help they needed, that bike needed to go to the mechanic, they needed, they got it in the truck, the guys took it, the army guys took it for them and everything. And then they sit around and talking, and they're like, oh, you're from Bangalore. I have a friend in Bangalore. And then my other friend says, don't tell me it's Meghna. And they're like, yeah, of course it's Meghna. Like, how many women ride motorcycles in that sense? And, so this just happened to be friends of mine. One was in the army, one was a restaurateur from Bangalore who happened to cross paths on a highway in Rajasthan. So you will always find people who will, and I think in general, you will find people who will be ready to help you. And especially motorcyclists. I mean, we have had an accident, not me, but we've been on a trip where the bike is fallen and the bike needs to go in for repairs. And then we are at the mechanic and we are supposed to go to Goa, but now we are in Bangalore. So we're taking the long way route, the scenic route. And now the bike's busted, it needs repair. So we need to stay here for the next 2-3 days. And then, my friend is calling his friend from the mechanic shop in Sakleshpur, saying that, listen, this is what has happened. Bike's broken down and we are at the mechanic. And he's like, which town are you in? Sakleshpur. Just wait right there. I'll call you back. And he calls back and he says, just hang out there because in 20 minutes you'll have somebody coming to pick you guys up and take you to their estate. And we had like the most beautiful hospitality. This friend of friends, never met before, takes all of us to his home. We pitch tents, we have like a little setup. He gives us the most beautiful, elaborate breakfast and takes us to show us different places, even like does that as well. I mean,
Yeah.
that is something that I think it's really credible for us.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's like a community, entire
Yeah,
community.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now with the social media, there is so many ways to get in touch with people and saying like, hey, I'm on this trip, I'm coming to this week. If anybody wants to meet up, or is there any place that I can you suggest a mechanic, or can you suggest places to visit, or can I share a pad somewhere? This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
really, it's really amazing.
quite easy now. But another thing I just occurred to me, like earlier, if a woman rode a motorbike, she would be called a tomboy, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Now, yeah, yeah, totally. So now you're changing that basically. Like your own daughter, you're saying she's used to seeing women riding, nothing tomboyish about it. So
I
tell
think
me,
that the whole
hmm,
concept of tomboy also became something that it was okay for a woman to be a man, or a girl to be like boyish, but not for a
yeah,
boy to be girly.
right, that's true.
So I think that all those stereotypes are changing. I don't see that very many women want to ride a motorcycle. That is one thing, right? That's why would you
Hmm.
want to, like, some people don't get it. They're like, "Arey, but why? Why do you want to do it? Why? It's like inconvenient. Why would you want to do it? So I don't know. It's different. People are driven by different needs, I guess.
Of course, we're all different. But
Yeah.
coming to your coaching thing, and I was looking, and you said that anybody can ride a bike. And for me,
Yeah.
the first thing I would think is the bike is so heavy, right? How do you even hold it or get? And you said that women don't know their own strength.
Yeah.
So literally anybody can ride a bike. What if somebody has
Anybody.
never ridden one?
No, they even for that matter, Seema had never touched a motorcycle,
Yeah.
and she was riding in like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. She's riding.
Hmm.
Because the thing is that at the end of it, I think it's that feeling, the fear that keeps us from doing so many things. And actually, it is not a person's, you know, ability. It is a person's perception of their ability that makes us do the things that, or allows us to do the things that we do. It's really, I mean, if you and get what I'm saying, it's really interesting because it's not your ability, it's your perception of your ability. Oh, I don't think I can do this,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and it keeps so many of us from doing so many things that we would otherwise excel at because we don't perceive ourselves to be able to do it.
That's
So
very
yeah,
true.
I've not taught just women. I've taught men over the years how to ride a bike. It's just that little fear that is there of the size of a motorcycle, or we can hold it with a finger. You
Oh,
can hold that balance. You can balance that bike with a finger.
amazing.
Yeah. And there are, like, again, you start with a basic thing where your feet need to touch the ground, but there are advanced riders who do a lot of dirt trails where the bike needs to be higher because the clearance from the ground needs to be higher. So a lot of the times their feet don't touch the ground. So they're sitting like almost like how we'd like to learn those big cycles, those big black cycles
Yeah,
back in
yeah.
the day when we were kids, and those
Right.
big, big cycles. And
Yeah,
you'd
yeah.
have to, you'd be almost like sideways. Your butt wouldn't be sitting on the seat. You'd be
Hmm.
like this side butt out, and you kind of cycle like that. That's how you can balance the motorcycle, even those big bikes. But
Huh.
that's like for a more advanced rider in that sense.
Yeah. So how did you start coaching and what is the age group? Because Seema's, I saw her video with you and it said that, this was her dream since she was a teenager to ride a bike and
Yeah,
she was going
yeah,
to touch 50, so she had to do it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And so I get a lot of that. I get a lot of because I do one-on-one. I do one-on-one coaching, so it's not exactly cheap in that sense because it's uh, it's something that somebody has wanted to do for a long time, and uh, they have come to do it. So whether they end up buying a motorcycle or they already own it and then riding it, it just is up to them. But that feeling when that bike starts moving, that smile on their face, right? It's a really that aha moment that is actually happening to me. And so I feel like a catalyst in their journey, and I think that it's amazing that it's more empowering. And why is it empowering? This word is a little overused, but why is it empowering for women to be able to ride a motorcycle that is, you know, that they don't need somebody else to start the bike for them. They don't need, I mean, if you can kickstart a motorcycle, that's how I teach them on an old motorcycle, which needs you to kickstart it. So if you can kickstart an Enfield, you can, you're a queen. It's not a button start. It's a button start is like anybody can do that. But if you can kickstart a motorcycle, you can ride anything,
Yeah, it's an
especially an Enfield.
accomplishment, no? And
Yeah, totally,
you've done this.
Yeah. So, and that is the first step. So whether they end up riding after that, or they end up buying a motorcycle or making it a part of their life or anything, it's just that they thought that they could not do it, or that they always wanted to do it. And that one moment, that little moment when that bike wheel starts turning and they start moving, and I make them ride in a very tight space, because again, like, I prefer it. There's a little bit of a bump, there's a little bit of bad patch, it's a tight space. You have to maneuver, you have to take U-turns. So I get them to do everything in one day. And then you can become a better rider. You can I take them outside on the road if you have a license, all of that.
How
So
many
it's a
days
process.
does it take?
It's a process. So I would do, like, I mean, ideally, I would say 3 to 4 classes to get you confident in. And then, of course, it depends on how good you are. There are many things that are required of a woman motorcyclist. Firstly, let me say that. It's a big responsibility when you're out on the street, when you're out in traffic, because everybody's going to try and mess with you. They're going to try and bully you. They're going to try and push you around. They're going to try and take your space. They're going to try and distract you, and you have to be extra careful. So for me, I mean, riding a motorcycle or riding any vehicle for that matter is one thing. But, it comes back to me, like this piece of advice that my father had told me as a 12-year-old, when he was teaching me how to ride. He said, I'll teach you how to ride, but once you ride, don't ever come back to me and say that it wasn't my fault. I had an accident and it wasn't my fault. It'll always be your fault. Whether when you're in a vehicle and you see, like, it could be the cow crossed the road, the woman crossed the road, the children ran across. It could be everything or anything, but you have to be aware. So he said, don't ever come back to me and say that it wasn't my fault. Something just came in front of me, but it wasn't my fault. No, it is your fault. It will be your fault. So you have to be aware. And I'm saying not only that you have to be aware of your surroundings, use your indicators, all these things, right? Use your indicators, be aware of people around you. Use your rear view mirrors to be aware. And your awareness has to be much heightened. So not only of traffic, like, not only do you have to know how to ride the vehicle, you have to know how to work through traffic.
Totally in the moment.
Yeah, you cannot be, trying to make a call, do anything, because you are so open. You're so open, anything can happen to you. And more than anything else, you just have to be aware and be able to, control how people are reacting around you. Sometimes people are just, hey, so nice to see a woman at the signal, they'll be like, yeah, and I'm like, thank you, whatever. And sometimes people are like trying to overtake and trying to, cut across you, and then you just want to slow down. So please carry on. We're not here to compete. But they want to get your attention. So you can't be distracted by that.
Yeah, the minute they see a woman rider, I suppose.
Yeah, totally. So that's why I'm saying it's a big responsibility, even that.
Yeah. So tell me about the women who come to you. What are their stories? What is motivating them?
So much. It's so interesting because like so many times it's like, oh, my husband is riding around the countryside, the world, literally, and I feel left out. I feel like he's so passionate about it, and I feel left out on that journey. So I want to also join that journey. Or there are single women who are just like, I really dream about riding a motorcycle. I have this dream. I want to be able to achieve it. So there are different stories, different people who have, and sometimes people have not even expected to be able to do that. They've not, they're not thought that this would actually be an option. So many times people have called me and said that, listen, I didn't even know that this could be an option where I could learn how to ride, where I could ride my own motorcycle. I could own that and do it. So I think it's become a lot more accessible in that sense because bikes are cheaper today. I mean, they're accessible. Anybody can go and own a motorcycle, right? It's just about how you can protect yourself. And I think that a lot of things are changing in the country. Solo travel still, like solo camping, solo traveling. I think that that's still a little bit out there, but I think it's hats off. More and more women are doing it. So I see all kinds of stories actually.
Yeah. What is the oldest, let's say, or the youngest that you've coached?
No, I mean, like you say, Abhi, I haven't had like that. No, actually, I have. I have had a 23-year-old. I have had a 23-year-old, and I've had like a 55-year-old. So
Okay.
yeah, that is the age. I hope to teach my kids one day. I hope to teach my kids one day and have them be safe on the road. That is the fear actually. I think that people had back in the day. The speeds are very high. You have to take care of yourself, your people that you are interacting with on the street, yourself, your family. Everybody is responsible. So, I mean, you're responsible for everybody. So, in a way, like
Right.
that has to be kept in consideration.
Yeah. So, what you said, that it's like an unconscious thought, I think. And then they hear about you because nobody even realized that it's an option that you can ride a motorcycle.
Yeah. So there'll be somebody talking to somebody else, and sometimes they're like, I don't want to learn from my husband. My husband has a motorcycle, but I don't want to learn from my husband, or I don't want to learn from my dad because they have zero patience. And
Yeah.
sometimes my friends have, got their friends to call me and said, listen, I want you to teach my wife or my girlfriend because I find it really difficult to do so. So, or I'm out and I don't have the time. So can you do that? And I think that is the amazing part of it. Like you want your partner to be your equal and to enjoy journeys together, but you don't have to do it like you know a second hand experience. Sitting pillion on a motorcycle is a second hand experience.
Yeah. And suddenly you realize that, look, I can learn too. I guess
I
that's why
have my
social
own.
media is great because, they can see
Yeah.
your videos
Yes.
and you see
Yes.
people learning. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's been really helpful in that sense.
Yeah. Do you get direct requests just like that out of the blue on your Instagram or something like that?
Yeah, every now and then, yeah.
So it's only in Bangalore or you've gone to other cities as well?
Now, right now, it's only in Bangalore because I have my kids are small and I'm just doing multiple things. I wear multiple hats and motorcycling and teaching women how to ride a motorcycle is just one of the things that I do. So
Yeah, yeah, I
it's
saw that.
juggling. Yeah,
So when did you
it's,
start? But I forgot to ask you that. The coaching bit.
teaching.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I've been doing it for the last, like, I've been riding for 30 years. So I've been doing it for the last, like, I would say 25 years. But
Hmm.
officially, or to put it out there, it's been about, I think it was pre-COVID, maybe 2018.
Oh, okay, great. Long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. But it's been something that has just been happening. It's just,
Just happened, huh?
yeah, it's just something that, people are like, I also want to ride a bike. I'm like, please come. It'll take you all of 1 hour. Then after that, it is about like, how do you get to the next gear or to like, but you will be able to start a motorcycle and stop it in an hour. So
So,
that's pretty
like,
cool, I
correct me if
think.
I'm wrong, but from what I've been speaking to you and looking at your Instagram, you pretty much go with the flow, right?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'll know it when I get there.
Yeah, because when I was trying to find you on LinkedIn and Instagram, I'm like, no, this is Meghna Levitate. No, this Meghna, this Travel Rani is your accounts. I'm like, am I getting the right person? Then I realized, oh, all of it is you. Okay.
All of it is me. I'm just like, and I'm the person who said I'll never do social media. I'll never, never. And then I went on to have like not one, not two, I think four, five handles, and I'm managing them. And I'm just like, sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself. It's a bit out there.
Yeah, I can get that. Yeah, because you're sharing from one to the other, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's
And
actually like talking to
it's a
yourself.
different, yeah, it's a different world out there. Sometimes I think, of course, it's quite interesting, but sometimes I'm also like, oh my God, just shut it and let's leave town. Let's get on there, let's get out of town.
Yeah.
So
So tell me
yeah,
about Levitate, and you have the Bindi Project and a lot of stuff.
yeah. So I was 23 when I started. I'd moved to Bangalore. I'd quit my corporate job in Bombay, and I traveled for about 6 months. I had gone to Ladakh at the time also, and like here and there, my parents were in Srinagar, and then I'd moved to Bangalore. I just came to Bangalore because I was like, that's it. This is the
You
only
were
city I've
promised a
kind of
bike.
not lived in.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you were
was promised
promised.
a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was always on my bucket list actually, because it was like I studied in Pune, and Pune is like Bangalore is like the older version of Pune. That's what I was told when I was studying in Pune. I'd done
Right.
my graduation and my postgrad and everything, and then I was ready to leave that city. I'm like, I knew everything about everything. So I was ready to leave, and I was told by my seniors and my friends that Bangalore is the older version of Pune city. People are like, you meet 40-year-olds who don't know what they want to be when they grow up. So I was like, oh my God, that's where I want to go. Like, there's no pressure of like, and then I actually went for an interview for
I grew up in
doing my
Bangalore,
master's.
so those
Oh
days, I
yeah,
think, yeah, yeah, in the 80s or whatever it was called, the pensioners' paradise, literally.
yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah. So
not
by
anymore, of
2000,
course.
yeah, by 2002, I think it had already got its vibe of,
Yeah, yeah,
like
the
an
IT crowd and
easygoing,
everything.
yeah, yeah, everything had already happened. But before that, I had moved to Bombay, and I'd gone for this interview, which was from my master's or my MBA at Symbiosis. And these guys kept asking me, like, it was supposed to be for qualitative market research. And they kept asking me that, will you do numbers? And I was like, no, I'm a total people's person. I don't want to do numbers. So it so happened that I said so much about that work that there was no branch for that in Bangalore. And my job was in Bombay. And it was a real slap in my face, because Bombay is when you really have to show up, right? It's like your student, I mean, like your student life is over, and your learning begins when somebody's paying you money, right? You have to show up, you have to do all of that. So anyway, I did it for a year, and I was very proud of myself. I learned a lot, and I quit that job to start Levitate, which was a hole in the wall tiny store in Bangalore that did a lot of handmade Indian craft jewelry design, all of that. I ran it for 18 years. I was 23 when I started it. And it was a secret. It was a secret. It was called Bangalore's best kept secret shop. So I shut during COVID. It was a catalyst in that completion of that journey. I'd done it for 18 years, and I felt that it had done its time. I'd filled a big gap in the market before, and that gap was becoming smaller. So it was time to shut shop in that sense. And even my mother was shopping online, 70. So it was just like everybody's shopping online, and I didn't have that online presence. I finally got it and everything. But then I shut shop, and then it took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to do next. But after that, I also now run a charity thrift called the Preloved Co. It's a beautiful, beautiful setup which has a large percentage of our fundraising goes to various causes that we raise funds for at in Bangalore. So that is also one thing that I run. It's really great fun. We have the best of fashion, and while you're shopping, you're also saving the planet, and you're saving, like, funds are being generated for various causes. So it feels really great. And of course, the Bindi Project. I've been It's been a couple of years now, and I create one of a kind, really funky bindis which have not been done before. So yeah, it's many things. It's I'm juggling many things.
Yeah, the Bindi Project I liked, and you said you just don't have to wear it with saris, you can wear it with anything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do fun things, fun bindis that you can actually wear with a pair of, like, a white shirt, blue jeans. I think that this whole thing, because I'm also a stylist and I work with that, it's also this whole thing of you know, having to conform to a certain mindset, whether it's H&M or Zara or whatever it is out there. People have to find their personal style, because that is something that really works for your personality. And I just feel that, doing a fusion of Indian style, it's like the whole world is looking at the women of India. They are so beautiful, right? And here we want to do like Korean fashion or like Scandinavian home design. I'm just like, come on, guys.
Yeah,
Come
why?
on. Like, why? The whole world is watching us. We're, I've been told like so many times, because I have to travel to like different places for work, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Himachal, all of that. And I'd meet so many foreigners who are just like, we're just blown away by the beauty of India, Indian people. And here we are trying to be somebody else. I mean, it's just, okay, wear your blue jeans. There's nothing wrong with a blue jeans, white shirt. Like, it's lovely. But like, keep something. It doesn't have to be the bindi. That's not what I mean. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
embrace something that brings you joy and that puts you apart a little bit. Why would you want to fit in when you can stand apart?
I know what you mean. If I'd done these pop-ups, for a couple of years with a couple of friends of mine, we called it the Goodwill
Yeah,
Shop, and we sourced stuff from all over the place. And you realize these artisans are so talented, and you
yeah,
feel you've not even scratched the surface.
yeah, yeah,
There's so
yeah.
much going
And
on.
post COVID, it's been really sad to see that number really dwindling. And
Yeah.
I honestly never thought that I would be working with my hands like this. So you will see me riding a motorcycle in my boots, in my jeans, but you will also see me wearing a sari with my bindi and doing all the shringar possible. So I like when you spoke about like tomboy today, to like embracing the woman that you are. A woman can be all these things, and that is another thing, right? You have like niche down or like to find that single thing that you do, as opposed to enjoying so much. Like, I think a woman is made of so much. She has so much going for her work, her family, her interests, her joy, her painting, her sari styling, jo bhi, whatever it could be, so many things that bring her joy. She's not a linear one that, go to work with one thing, take your briefcase, go to work, come back, do this. It's not the way that she's built. She gets joy from many, many places.
Yeah, true. You can't just be pigeonholed. You need that
Yeah, and
joy.
I think that women have to first and foremost give themselves that, to explore, to be. I mean, we go through like life cycles each month,
Yeah.
and to be okay with feeling low one day and feeling on top of your game the next day. It is the way that you have been built. It's fine. Accept that also.
Yeah. Even I saw your video, first of all, with the sari, the pallu that kept falling off, and
Yes,
you found a hack
yes,
for it.
yes.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was fantastic. Really.
yeah. And even there, right, with the designer who I worked with, and it was like, oh, we don't know if the designer is going to have time, or I don't know if we're going to be doing this, that. And I'm just like, listen, this is a problem that needs solving. Every woman who's wearing a sari is either pinning it with safety pins. I don't put, safety pins in my saris, but I also do draping workshops. I do demos. I conduct workshops on fusion sari draping. So it doesn't have to be that normal type of sari. I said, like that way it needs to hold in place. I can't keep doing this all day.
Yeah, and it
So
looks pretty as well.
yeah, it had a really great detail, right? I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
loved
Look
it
very,
too.
very
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
yeah.
Even your pre-love.
So
So how
good.
does the pre-love thing work? A lot of people
So yeah, it's
contribute.
interesting. Yes, we
Hmm.
work with donations and the contributions of
What do they
people,
contribute?
and
Is it money or clothes or?
so no. So basically, we raise funds through the sale. So we are not looking at clothes like that. You will give it to us and we'll donate it to a charity. That's not the kind of clothes that we work with. We work with clothes that you cannot give to your house help or to your,
Right.
these are not those kind of clothes. These are the clothes that you wear to your Friday night out with your girlfriends. Your strapless, your backless,
Mm-hmm.
your halters. These are the
Mm-hmm.
places. These are the clothes that you don't have home for, and that needs another, a journey for somebody else to love it the way that you have loved
Yeah,
it
yeah, and they're
and worked
expensive,
with that.
right?
They're
So,
expensive.
yeah.
So, but the thing is that amazingly, we have worked so well at, people have sent us things with, we don't collect, we don't pick up, we don't pay, we don't. do that, because at the end of our time, we want to be able to raise funds, and the more we give into that, the less we will be able to do that. So people have sent us like clothes with labels, with tags, because at the end of the day, you realize that the best way to help somebody is actually to help yourself. So how can you do that is actually by cleaning out your closet, getting rid of that stuff that is sitting in your closet. You will be amazed at how much weight you will lose by giving away the clothes that you don't wear. So not waiting for them to go completely out of fashion or to completely like be in tatters or whatever, just give them away and you will realize that that weight has been sitting in your mind. It's just amazing.
True.
Because
And you
women
can,
actually, yeah, help somebody, or even that first you help yourself. This is
yeah,
the
yeah,
way.
absolutely. Empty out your cupboard and you can buy more stuff.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's a game changer,
Yeah.
and you will be amazed how many people come, drop off a bag with us, and then say, "Hey, I'm going to shop some pre-love." You know, I'm
Hmm.
going to shop some pre-love because the best of fashion. We get the best of fashion. We are not homogeneous like a H&M or any of that. We are. You want to build a personality. You want to have something that you want to build for your own personal brand. So this is also one more thing that I do, which is I work with women entrepreneurs and I help them like create their own personal brand and work with their own homegrown brands to bring their story out and kind of brand it. So that's also what I do. So yeah, I do workshops for that as
Yeah.
well. So it's very
In,
important to be able to be comfortable in who you want to portray.
yeah, interesting. I saw what you did. Somebody called Auto Raja.
Yes,
That
yes.
was
So
very
that's how,
interesting.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So this is a home for almost 800 plus destitute people, and he's picked up people off the streets.
and he's spending 50,000 per day
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
that.
That is the kind of overheads that they have because it's 800 people. And now he has a little hospital, he has doctors on call, he's doing all of that. So if and tomorrow, actually, if you were to ask anybody for 10 rupees on the street, it's not like people are going to give it to you. You can't ask for money like that. Nobody is giving you that
Yeah, yeah.
money. But here you are buying something with value. You have received value for it, and you're given your money, and that is going to help somebody. It's a win-win,
Oh, why not?
and you're saving the planet, and you're doing all that is fine, right? But I think you get the best of passion. You get passion with personality.
Yeah, so Meghna, I'm just realizing one thing. Tell me if I'm wrong. Your biking, even all this, a lot of it you've spoken about women entrepreneurs. There's a lot of helping women, right?
Yeah, it's a huge thing. I'm
Yeah,
passionate about that a lot. It's a huge passion for me. And like I said, like we spoke about this, if I feel that somebody can put in like 10% extra and get like, 100%
right.
return, I will really encourage them to do that. And sometimes I do it. When of course, this year I've promised that I'm not going to do that because I see my energy as elixir and I'm going to sprinkle it like fairy dust. But before that, I was very, out there. Like, you have to do something about this because I see you. I see that you can do so much. I visualize it for you. So,
Yeah.
it's, but people also have to be able to see it for themselves. And there's always a right time. And now I've kind of come to that everybody has a right time and they will do whatever is their calling at the time that works for them.
That's true.
So I just want to
There
be a
has,
part of that journey. Yeah.
yeah, the time has to be right.
Yes,
But a little
definitely.
push helps. There's no
Yeah,
harm.
I think that because people don't see that for themselves, it's difficult to see it for yourself. It's always nicer, easier to see it for somebody else.
Yeah, that's true. So tell me, Meghna, finally, what's next for you as a biker? Any expeditions planned? Any bike that you want to buy? Anything on your
Yeah,
wish list?
I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for some bike to come and wow me, like I am waiting. I've not found the perfect
Somebody who
motorcycle,
collects
but
bikes, there are a lot of people, right, who do that.
yeah. So I think that these days you can also hire out bikes to ride, but there is a certain I don't know how to say this. I'm looking for that perfect perfect bike.
Oh,
And there are and there are and the thing is that mine is already in my garage. She's already here. It's just beautiful.
your first love.
And the more you ride it, the better she becomes. So it's just the way that she's been made, made like a gun. They call the Enfield is made like a gun, rides like a bullet, that. It is the way that it is. It's an older bike. I'm not gonna go for a button push start, and that's so like, it's not it doesn't have that soul of what soul of discomfort. That does not have the soul of discomfort. How
Yeah.
can you become so comfortable that you want a automatic car and you want a button start motorcycle? This is too much comfort.
Where's the fun? Where's the joy?
Where's the fun? Where's
Yeah.
the fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Thank you, Meghna. Wonderful, wonderful talking to you.